Hello everyone, so in this video, I wanted to explain how, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of people are overreacting to what's happening in the market, specifically with prismatic evolutions now that the prices have dipped quite a bit for the ETB and the booster bundle. The ETB has dropped from like 120 to now about $100, a little bit under that. And the booster bundle dropped from like 70 to like low 60s, so it didn't drop as much. But I wanted to explain how I feel like a lot of people don't have an understanding of what is happening, and that's why people are, behaving in certain ways or saying certain things. And hopefully in this video, I can explain to you guys why it's really important to understand what's going on with prismatic evolutions or why prices are going down, so that you're informed of why this is happening, so that you don't come to decisions or make these certain ideas in your head of, oh, this is happening, the prices are going down, so all the stuff is going to crash. I wanted to explain hopefully in this video, and I feel like this really is important, so hopefully you guys can watch the entirety of this video. But before I talk about that quickly, I just want to update you guys on my Destin rival situation. So you can see here, I still only have 2 booster boxes. Apparently my other 3 are supposed to come here on Monday, so hopefully they show up. But just a little side note if you're wondering about that situation. But anyways, get on to the main thing today. So I see a lot of people talking about prismatic evolution, especially now, because before people always said this was going to MSRP, it was going to crash like Shining Fates. But now that it's sort of, you could say, started to happen, right? Because prices have dipped from like 120 to now like a little bit under 100. People are saying, yeah, this is Shining Fates all over again. I told you, right? It's happening. But no, you have to understand what is going on right now and how, as of right now, saying that this is going to go to MSRP, or oh, I told you this was Shining Fates or whatever, it's too early to say that. I'm not saying it's impossible, because the future, there's still time for this to get reprinted to the ground, right? It's possible. But as of right now and what's happening, that's not, it's not because of like reprints. And that's the big thing I want to talk about here. So you got to understand why prices are going down, right? Why are prices going down for prismatic evolutions right now, for the ETBs and booster bundles? What is causing it? That's the big thing to understand. It's Costco, right? The Costco bundles online, in stores, the 2 ETBs, the 2 booster bundles online, and then the 1 ETB, 1 booster bundle in person. Those, bundles, there's a lot of them out there, right? In the past week, a lot of people have been getting them in stores, online from that drop, and people are flipping them because people are able to make double or triple their money by buying from Costco and selling it, and people are flooding the market. So this is expected, right, for prices to dip. I mean, there was some numbers out there I saw, I don't know if it was 100% correct, but on some Reddit post where somebody explained that there was like 80,000 units, and I don't know if they were just talking about the online units that were available on I guess the online thing, and I don't know if that included the in-store stuff. So there was a lot out there, right? So this price decrease we're seeing now is not crazy, right? It was to be expected, and in my opinion, it's nothing that's extreme. Like, if we're seeing this going to 80 or $70, I mean, still it's about $100, right? So for the ETBs, so it's nothing extremely crazy, at least yet. But the price decrease we're seeing now, I expected, right? So that's the reason why price is going down, is because the bundle, right? It's pretty obvious. And you might be like, I already knew that. What are you trying to get at here? So you got to understand that this Costco bundle thing, right? This is probably not Pokemon, at least for this instance, because they have reprinted other prismatic products or restocked or whatever, right? But this bundle coming out with Costco, I really don't believe that this is because they're responding to the prices in the market, right? Maybe they, produced more of these than maybe they would have, but you got to understand that Costco and Pokemon has made so many bundles previously that this is not anything that's different, right? And what I'm trying to get at here is, like, you got to understand that they've done this with 151, right? They had a 151 ETB with the tin. They did this with Crown Zenith with the tin. They've done this with 151, like the Blooming Water stuff. They've done this with the tins. They've done all, and even more stuff. They've done all these different sort of bundled products with Pokemon previously. And Prismatic, I mean, I'm not surprised they've done it with this set as well. So what I'm trying to get at here is that this is not a special thing. This is not Pokemon reprinting everything in the ground and, oh, now it's Shining Fates. No, this was what they were probably going to do regardless of the market, and if they were expensive or not, they were probably going to make this bundle happen, right? But maybe they produced more of it. I have no evidence to say that it's true or not that they did more or less, but I'm trying to say here that this is not a reprint, right? And that's the big thing to get from this. You know, People saying that this is the start of shining fates. This is the start of everything ending, everything going to MSRP. You see prices dipping. I told you so, right? No, because this is an exclusive thing with Costco. This is not a reprint where this is going to Target, Walmart, Best Buy, local card stores. That's not the case. This is from a Costco bundle, right? And to understand that that's the reason why this is happening, it's not a reprint, is very important because this is not a widespread thing, right? This is exclusively with Costco. So meaning that this isn't a reprint. And that's what everybody's talking about. Oh, they're gonna reprint this in the ground, right? But this was not a reprint. You got to understand that. So what I'm trying to say is that it's too early to say that right now prismatic evolutions, oh, they're reprinting the ground. It's all this is the start. We're not there yet, right? And like I mentioned, like this is not me saying that it's not going to happen. Like they won't reprint these products in the future because they most likely will, right? I'm not denying that, but it's too early to say right now from these price tips that oh yeah, this is the start of Shining Fates and everything 2.0. Like it's too early. This is Costco. This is exclusively because of Costco. This isn't because Pokemon has reprint everything and distributing it to Walmart's, Best Buys, Targets, and all these card stores. That's not the reason, right? So I feel like for people out there that are seeing just maybe TCG player and are not really understanding why prices are going down, you might be like, oh yeah, this is Pokemon now this is like Pokemon now reprinting everything because everybody got mad and they said they were going to do this, so they're now reprinting to the ground and oh yeah, it's the start. Not yet, right? It is very possible maybe after this they reprint more stuff of Prismatic, but we'll see. I mentioned before, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but in history, right? 151. Last time 151 ETBs really got supply on the market in a large quantity was through Costco bundles with the tin. After that, prices went up and up. They never got reprinted. Like I said, I'm not saying that's going to happen with Prismatic, but that's what happened in 151. 151, could be a different situation because at the time those bundles came out for 151 with the tins, I believe 151 ETBs at the time were like 80, $90, I believe around there. So it wasn't like it was a good deal, but it wasn't crazy, obviously, like Prismatic. So now Prismatic obviously is a lot more expensive out the gate. Maybe they're gonna reprint the ETBs and focus on that to try to get prices down, and they're gonna reprint those, and maybe it's a different situation than 151. But that's what happened to 151. I'm not saying it's gonna happen to Prismatic, but it's worth noting that that's what happened in history to a specialty set, and the other specialty sets like Paldean Fates and Shrouded Fable haven't gotten reprinted yet for the ETBs. And yeah, so that's just, I guess, a little bit of history of what happened to, I guess, the last bundle that happened with 151 with the tins, where the ETBs never got reprinted after. In Prismatic, not saying, like I said, it's going to happen or not, but we'll see if history repeats itself. But it could be a different story, like I said, because prices of Prismatic are more expensive out the gate. So hopefully, in this video, I explained at least somewhat clearly why it's really important to understand why the prices right now are going down for prismatic evolutions. Because if you just look at the prices in the dip you're seeing right now, you could jump to conclusions that this is just Pokemon reprinting to the ground, but it hasn't happened yet, right? And you can have evidence of other sets, right, previously that have gotten reprinted and prices really didn't do much. I mean, you look at what initially happened with the restock, right, of prismatic evolutions. Prices didn't dip much, right? Prices dipped from like 135, 140 to around like 120. Prices didn't dip much, right? And right now, obviously, we're getting more supply from Costco right after the restock. So that's why we're seeing also prices dip way more than probably would have if we never got that restock, right? So you got to understand it's kind of right now a double effect of a lot of supply on the market. We're coming off of a restock, and also we're getting this Costco bundle. So that's also making prices a lot lower than they would have been if they never restocked them, I guess like a month ago or whatever. So we'll see what happens to the prices of Prismatic Evolutions ETBs. Not really even, honestly don't really care about the bundles because I really truly believe those are going to get reprinted a million times like they did with 151. But the ETBs are a different story. We'll see what happens to the prices of those, but I truly believe a lot of people are overreacting, and in my opinion, a lot of people are going to miss out on this opportunity to buy these ETBs because you're able to buy some locally for like $90 to $100. I feel like a lot of people are still holding on to this hope of MSRP for Prismatic, and it just, if the card prices, in my opinion, would have to drop so much for this to ever go to $50 in ETB, and people waiting and waiting to buy these top sets in Scarlet and Violet, waiting for them to go to MSRP, especially the ETB of Prismatic for $50. I think if you're trying to invest, right, that really isn't a smart strategy to go all in or nothing, to say, I'm not buying this unless it goes to MSRP. And you wait and you wait. And most likely, in my opinion, it's never going to reach there. And you had this huge opportunity to get what's the math? Like a 20% discount on these ETBs at $90 to $100. As an investor, you really got to think about this longer term. I've mentioned this so many times. You think when this goes out of print that $90, $100 is going to be seen to be expensive, or in a few years when this is out of print, is that going to be seen to be a deal? I mean, if you look at history at other sets, right, that in my opinion are not nearly as good, they performed extremely well after going out of print. And just this whole, I guess notion now that, oh, I need to buy MSRP or else I'm not buying. And you're trying to invest. I don't know if that's the best way to go about investing, because seriously, I've mentioned this, especially with Destined Rivals. If you don't know where the bottom is, just dollar cost average. How is that a bad strategy? And especially for Prismatic, we're basically at the lowest price it's ever been for the ETBs. Why wouldn't you buy some, right? So, you can decide what's best for you. For me, I already bought a lot of ETBs on the first drop, and I was able to get them for $100 or under. So pretty much the same deals I'm getting now. I've told you guys, if I'm able to find a large quantity from a single seller for like $90 in ETB, I'll buy more. But at least for now, all the ones I'm finding near me, it's like 1 or 2 ETBs, and they're kind of far away. It's not really worth it. But if you guys out there are able to find it locally, and you don't really have any, I really think buying these ETBs at $90 to $100 is a very good deal. And I just feel like a lot of people are overreacting to this price drop, thinking that this is the end of the world or Prismatic is going to go to zero. But it's really just because of these Costco bundles that dropped. Nothing really special has happened. No overprinting or crazy huge reprints have happened with the Prismatic ETBs. This is just a normal bundle that Costco's done. Like I said, maybe they have produced more of them than they usually would, but there's really nothing crazy going on until we see Pokemon specifically reprinting the ETBs and all these other products. I think it's still too early to call that Pokemon is reprinting Prismatic into the ground like Shining Fates. I think it's too early, and that's just my take on this whole situation. So hopefully you guys, I guess, learned something or found this video, I guess, informative. I feel like a lot of people out there do probably just look at graphs and see prices drop and be like, and just jump to conclusions. But I feel like it really is important to understand why prices are going down, so you know what's actually going on in the market. So that's all I want to talk about here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.